quickly plug this. We have a great relationship with Startup Grind. If you're even thinking about the conference, happy to talk to you about it. I think it's a wonderful global conference that they put on. But one of our partnerships that we have is actually to highlight female founders. And so May is Female Founder Month, and Startup Grind does a great job of highlighting female founders. And so if you are one, or you know one, or want to be one, happy to talk to you after about that.
So let me plug that. So May is Female Founders Month. So globally, Startup Grind is only interviewing women leaders, women entrepreneurs. And so you can imagine all 300 plus chapters interviewing women and dedicating it for the month. So what we do, we highlight women because everyone knows the statistics about women founders. It's harder to get funding, it's harder to get recognition. So we've made a conscious effort to highlight. And so we not only have each chapter do it, we promote it globally. So we're creating its own website, its own link to show all the women speakers who are going to be speaking around the world. So it's very impressive to see where it is right now and to see where it's going to be by the middle of May. So we do that to highlight the achievements and to make sure that women founders get the exposure they deserve. It's funny, I was at Emerge and there's statistics that stated that women founders have a 5-to-1 success rate to male founders. It's like, wow, I need to get women founders. So tell us a little bit about, you said 2 years ago they made the decision. What was that decision like for them to realize that to actually have a line that says innovation? Did they see a problem? Did they see concern? What was the rationale behind it?
I wasn't there, so I'm not sure that exact press release why they put in that line and then hired somebody to figure it out. But no, I think ultimately everyone, innovation is like the biggest buzzword. I hate using it, but I use it all the time. So there's something else to almost kind of talk through kind of what's happening, right? And the amount of amazing work that's being done in a number of different places, technologies, platforms, groups. We're kind of, I feel, a record high of entrepreneurs. It's easier than ever. I know it is not easy, but it's easier than ever to start a new business given kind of cloud infrastructure and a lot of the technology kind of resources that are now available and some of the large technology companies have made available. And I think Comcast specifically, within our four walls, we certainly look at ourselves as a technology company. And I think externally, we don't always get that label. And so I think what we wanted to do with this with Lift Labs and the idea of engaging and potentially having an accelerator at the time, incubator, was how do we kind of look outside of our four walls and how do we get kind of new ideas and people who don't know all the ins and outs of our businesses and therefore don't know, legal might squash that, or that'll never get up the chain, right? We need that excitement that comes with being an entrepreneur, with people who, like you all, who love and are passionate about what they're doing. And we feel because we are such a large company that between the two of us, we can really help work together and help you scale, help you grow your business, and then hopefully grow it to a point where we are a customer. I think we found ourselves in a position often that we were meeting with startups and we were like, this is great, let me know when you can scale to over 20 million households. And we didn't want to be, we just did not want to be that. We realized there had to be some sort of kind of middle ground. And so I think that Lift Labs is that great opportunity to engage with startups and entrepreneurs way earlier than we've ever had in the past as a company.
So frame Lift Labs for us.
Sure. So Lift Labs is a number of kind of programs that all have kind of the main goal of, again, engaging entrepreneurs and startups. And so one of our pillars is our accelerator with Techstars. So we just closed our first class for applications for this year. It's a media and entertainment connectivity accelerator. For those of you who are not familiar with Techstars, they are kind of a leading group in the accelerator space. They do both their own accelerators as well as partner with other major corporations. They've run Barclays, they've run Disney, they're running Amazon Alexa right now, and And so they're a really great partner. We decided to partner with them because of their network of mentors. It's just unmatchable. We really interviewed, again, we met with over 1,000 entrepreneurs and kept hearing consistent great feedback about Techstars. So we're super excited to bring them to Philadelphia. They've never been there. So we are really pumped. That program is going to start in July. Our demo day will be in October. So we're in the selection phase now of companies, which is exciting. Another kind of pillar is, right now we're calling it Startups in Residence, but probably going to change that name because you don't have to be in residence. But this is really the idea for a little bit later startups who want to actually partner and do a proof of concept with our business. And so one thing we did when we were kind of looking at different programs is we actually went we went across all the business units and said, well, why don't you work with more startups? And we consistently heard, I don't have the budget, which I know sounds crazy, but it's true. I don't have the budget. I don't have the resources. I literally don't have a person to like manage this, POC, and I don't want to do the paperwork. And so with this program, our business units can apply, and they can have a startup in mind, or they can be willing to be matched with a startup. And they obviously have to have an opportunity or need in mind. And we will do all three of those things. We will split the cost, we will give you a project manager, and we will do all the paperwork for you. And so that really gives our business units an opportunity. Again, we're just trying to lower that barrier of entry so we can have more startups have the opportunity to test and build with us. Another major component is kind of just the actual physical space itself and just the idea of it being a resource center. So it is going to be in our new building, new Comcast technology building in Philadelphia, on the 4th floor. And we're really excited. We're going to have a lot of programming talks in there. All kind of our mentorship opportunities will meet in that space. And then we're also leveraging a platform called Union, which is out of 1776. They just recently spun out, which is a incubator group and co-working space that was based out of DC and is now kind of expanded actually up the Northeast Corridor. And then the last component is our storytelling. So we have a site, lift.comcast.com, and there we really try to highlight again the startup stories and posts about kind of different communities. And then I guess we actually have one more pillar, which is out of our event and engagement strategy. So last year alone, and there's the reason why there's some familiar faces in the audience, we came to Miami. Miami was one of 10 cities that I went to, where our team actually went to, where we hosted office hours during the day with local startups, and then we invited about 30 to 40 entrepreneurs or supporters of the startup community for an intimate founder-focused dinner where we had kind of great conversations around what's going on in each city. And Miami was one of those cities. And so we're kind of continuing that drumbeat of how do we engage different cities across the country and then not just kind of be looking in the New York, San Francisco area.
And that's where we met. That's where we got connected. And what I liked is that you went out on the road show basically, and you gathered input. Because a lot of incubators or boot camps come to Miami because it's Miami. They don't really understand the market to come to Miami. But you guys did. You actually went around the country and interviewed startups, people that influence the startups. What was the takeaway from your road show?
The number one takeaway was show up. Just be physically here. You need to be consistent in your communication with our community. Don't parachute in and enjoy a couple of days at South Beach, maybe like host a meeting or two and then parachute out or helicopter out. So that was like kind of the number one feedback that we got, which is why we work really hard on an events perspective to try to be as many places as we can. We actually function a little bit like a startup within a large corporation. We're a very, very lean team. And so sometimes that can be difficult, but we try to do our best. We were just down here for eMerge and had a great time there. So that was great. I think the second thing, again, we heard was partnerships. We want to be open to partnerships, which is why we tried to create a number of ways to do that, a number of paths. And then the third thing again was amplify our story, help get our story out there to as many people as possible. It's really hard, obviously, for a startup to kind of get press right off the bat. And so how can we potentially give a startup a video that they can use, and how could we write a story about them that then they can retweet and get people kind of excited that Comcast is telling their story. And so that's actually what we did at eMerge. We actually built an elevator. So it was a life-size elevator, and you could actually go in and you were met with Mr. Wonderful from the Shark Tank, and he kind of walked you through, not actually there, just on the screen. And he walked you through what it takes to give a 90-second pitch, elevator pitch. So you only had 90 seconds to pitch your company. And the idea behind that was the founder could then take that video, it's branded, it looks great, and actually use it and have that to give to people. And then we actually...
They came out great.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
They came out great.
Yeah, that's great. And then we actually get to use it because our team then review your startup, and then we actually pass it to a group across Comcast, NBCUniversal, who also review all of those videos, because we get inundated with, how was eMerge? Who did you meet? What were the top startups? And so now it's like, great, why don't you hear from the founders themselves? Here's their 90-second pitch.
So that was good for those that went through eMerge. What about those that didn't? How do they get engaged?
Yes, so I run business partnerships, so happy you can always connect me to kind of your community. I have some parts here as well. We are kind of working through, we really want to actually get that elevator pitch to a much broader audience right now, and so we're working through some legal complications on that end. But for now, you can go to our website and you can click subscribe now. We have a newsletter. We do not push you a ton of newsletters. I think it's like once a month. But that also gives you updates on the cities that we're going to be in, different events that we're hosting, as well as important deadlines like when our accelerator is opening up again or when applications are closing. You can also follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn.
So you had your inaugural cohort. What were some of the success stories that you had?
Well, we haven't had it yet. So they just applied. We just got all the applications, and the first cohort will start in July. But I can talk maybe through some other success stories that we've had and that have been highlighted a couple of times. One of them is a Philly-based company called Roar for Good, and they are actually a personal safety device, focused more on the women market, but obviously can be for anybody. We met them years ago, really tried to kind of mentor them, introduce them to a number of big executives across the company who took a personal interest in their company, gave them a lot of feedback and advice specifically around connectivity. So the idea of like relying on certain connections, it's great if you have a personal safety device, but if you're in a dead zone and it doesn't work, then it's really not helpful to anybody, right? And so we are a connectivity company, and we had some great people that could help them figure some of that out. And now we actually got to a point, we actually featured them at our CES booth this year. They're going to come onto our Works with Xfinity platform, which is the idea that kind of third-party solutions can work with our major Xfinity Home and X1 platform. And so what we're hoping that we could get to a point with them is if you do press that device, that actually your alarm, if you're an Xfinity customer, your alarm in your home would go off. So you can imagine if you had children who were walking home and something happened and they pressed that button, not only would you get kind of the alert on your phone and that sort of thing, but your actual house alarm would go off to kind of let you know that there is a problem there. So it's just kind of one story there.
I heard a story that when someone created content for you, you became their first customer, and they used that to elevate to get other large customers. So imagine if you say, my first customer is Comcast Universal.
Yeah. We've had that a couple of times, and Roar was a good example. We helped them secure some of their other customers, and that's why we want to encourage our business units to be partners, to do partnerships more, because we know the first startup for them to go, well, I'm working with Comcast, it really helps for the next person to kind of get on board. And so we've been the largest customer for a startup. I actually met a jewelry startup my first week on the job. And for some reason, I just was like, there's something here, and I don't know, like, how am I gonna help this jewelry company? They make bracelets, though, that say, like, I am strong, again, more women focused, and a couple, like, I am wise, I am a couple things, but the word, the after M is in binary code, and if you put that code onto their website, it then unlocks a whole series of coding lessons. And the bracelet was super sleek, the coding lessons were really engaging and interesting, and I actually introduced them to a group internally that hosts our annual Tech Women event, over 200 women executives across the company that are based in technology, and that was actually a gift that they got at the end of their conference. So, again, kind of little stories. We have some bigger ones. There's a company, CloudMine, that actually helps you become HIPAA compliant, cloud-based. We wanted to enter the healthcare space, and we obviously dealing with HIPAA is a major issue in that space, and we couldn't figure out a way really to kind of get around it. And CloudMine essentially was the reason that Comcast was this little startup was able to allow us to get into this space, because they basically kind of create a wrapper for you that's HIPAA compliant. And so we did launch into this space successfully with the help of that startup.
So that brings up something for me, is that if I'm a startup and I want to work with Comcast, is there a portal for me to look and see what you guys are working on? Or do you have like a dream?
Yeah, on our website we kind of show some of our main focus areas. Those are, we'll see if I can remember all of them, connected life, so really all encompassing connected home, connected car, connected office. We have next gen marketing. We have smart places. So first it was cities in quotes, but then we just changed it to places. We own a couple theme parks, and you can imagine those are basically cities on and of themselves. Entertainment everywhere, and digital wellness. So those are our core focus areas. That does not mean we do not work and try to help companies that are in other areas. And also, our help ranges, right? There's plenty of startups that I meet that I just introduce to somebody else who's going to be more helpful to them, to be frank, than I am. And there are startups that we meet that we just say, they really need a mentor. They need advice about building something. So we try to connect them that way. And then there are startups who are serious and wanting to work with us on a product perspective. And so we try to engage those right teams.
Are there certain hot areas right now in Comcast?
Yeah, I think voice is a major area that we're looking into. So we have a voice remote. Hopefully some of you may be X1 customers. So, we are looking at expanding the capabilities of voice. I think we are also looking at the home space. So right now, our home play has really just been security, and how now can we kind of grow that into more of a smart home play? How do you maybe combine the capabilities of an X1 and your security, and then maybe some IoT devices in your home? Also always looking at kind of connected car space is interesting, especially from the connectivity, but then also the content side from NBCUniversal. So the idea that you're watching a show in your car, you're at home, you need to get in the car, your kids don't want to disrupt that show. How do you, right? You leave, the kids get in, the car recognizes that the children are in the back seat, they just were watching this platform, and now it just serves it up right where it stopped, right? And then as you continue to drive, even when you get in a dead zone, it actually doesn't kind of cut off that streaming content, because as you've been driving, there's actually been a backlog because you're hitting Xfinity hotspots along the way, and it's trying to fill that time. So it's kind of looking at these crazy, but seem very far off, but I don't actually think they really are, ideas of kind of how users are going to engage with technology.
Okay. How about content? You guys working for content as well?
Yeah,
There's a lot of media companies.
Yeah, the NBC side of the house is obviously huge. Number of different brands there doing some really interesting things with content. I think that's where that kind of entertainment everywhere comes in. We know that people want to be consuming their content wherever they are on any sort of device. And I think we, are working hard to figure out what are certain engaging content, what are some types of engaging content on different platforms, right? So we'll take virtual reality, right? That was supposed to hit really big by 2020, and was like, well, numbers are backing up a little. Now it's maybe 2025 that's gonna hit. And I think we actually did a great job of being in that space right when it started. We did 50 plus kind of virtual reality and 360 videos kind of right in that time period. So let's say it's 2015, 2016. But we didn't go full speed ahead on that, right? We really needed to see how the marketplace adapted and how people were engaging with that platform before we could figure out what content people liked. We really felt like the technology wasn't quite there yet as well. So as we're seeing kind of more headsets come out, lower price point, technology's getting better, that's a space that I think we continue to look in, and just again, immersive in general. AR, kind of a new Apple update that just changed the game. All of a sudden everyone became interested in AR again. People forgot AR existed 6 years ago, and it was cool, I can hold my phone up to this QR code, right? And it was boom of QR codes, and those started to slow down, and then Pokemon Go came out, and everyone was like, what is this technology? This is crazy. Those things have been around, right? It's been around, and no one liked it, and people but because they were able to produce content in a way that was super engaging, all of a sudden now it's a huge platform. So I think we're looking for those opportunities too. How do you be that leader in the content space to almost start a new movement in the technology space?
Wow. So Lift Labs, what does it look like 5-10 years from now?
Gosh, hopefully it's everywhere. That's our goal. I think we are starting in our hometown of Philadelphia, and what we are hoping to do is that this is a successful, that the company really sees how successful this is and the opportunities that's created both for startups but also for our businesses. We are not in the marketing space. We roll up to a team at Comcast called Strategic Development. It is led by our head kind of business strategist and business development guy, Sam Schwartz, who was responsible for building the X1. He actually started the Xfinity mobile business that was incubated in our group and then spun out. And he led ventures started ventures at Comcast and then led that team for a number of years. So I think it's really important, that's something I like to call out, that we roll up to that team. And that team's mission is to kind of find the next big thing for Comcast and to push us outside of our core, which is a really exciting place to be. And so in 5 and 10 years, what we're hoping is that Telemundo has their own Lift Labs here in Miami, and that out in LA, Universal has their own Lift Labs, that they're engaging with their community around them, and then also, obviously more broadly as well.
You guys have a target for innovation with the Lift Labs, because you're a corporation?
God, KPIs?
Right?
Gosh, my least favorite question. We've put together, I think, some things that we think define success. Obviously, there are higher ups that need that. But ultimately, we're looking at success as helping the startups that we are engaging within these programs, right? And helping them can mean we introduce them to another company, now that company is working with them. Helping them can mean they came to I just found out one of the startups that was at our Miami dinner is actually now working with Telemundo because the business leader was there. So we were able to put them in a room with the business leader. They took advantage of that opportunity and are now have a deal with Telemundo. So our success metrics are a little different in how we're measuring them, but again, was that a meaningful connection for us, but mostly was it meaningful to the startup? And I think that's what we're also looking for when we start our accelerator. It's a founder first, right? Mm-hmm. They have to find this meaningful. They have to feel at the end of those 13 weeks that was the best program that they ever went through, and how that's our goal, right? We want to use our strength to help lift up, no pun intended, but to help kind of lift up this community.
Okay. So, my last question, and I'll give the floor to you
Okay.
to give everyone your pitch to have people engage and to keep them engaged, and have them reach out
Sure.
and make this a successful
Okay.
intro.
Can I be a second?
Want the elevator?
Yeah, I wish the elevator was here. I should have practiced. I was too busy giving pitch feedback to everybody else to practice. No, listen, I've been with this company again for 7 years in a number of different roles. I strongly believe in Comcast, NBCUniversal, from a number of perspectives. I do at our core believe we actually are a technology company. We are building some amazing things. We have some of the smartest people that I've ever met working at that company. And matching our company up with the entrepreneur community and the startup community, I truly believe is just, it's dynamic, it's dynamite, it's exciting, and if we can figure out a way to kind of better work with that community, which is what we're really trying to do, I ultimately think both groups will find a lot of success for it. And I think that I will put this out there that I dare you to find a better company that has a more diverse and exciting brand portfolio than ours does, right? We are a cable company, we are theme parks, we are content, we are digital businesses, we are your movie ticket provider, we are booking your tea times at your golf courses. We could be your home phone company, we could be your mobile phone company, we could be your Wi-Fi company, we are your Wi-Fi hotspot. We are everywhere, and I think that that's a really exciting place to play. So I usually try to say, my challenge to people is always, even though I like to say our focus areas, I'm always like, pitch me a startup and like I can't find a fit, right? I'll find somewhere within our company that could hopefully use it. And that's why, again, like a jewelry company, right? So that's my challenge to you all, I guess.
So how do they reach out? What's the recommendation?
Yeah, so anyone in this room, my email is my first name, Fielding, _ last name, Kid, at Comcast.com. You can always go through you. You can connect anybody who's interested in connecting. Again, I do encourage you to go to our website though, lift.comcast.com. Subscribe to the newsletter so again, you're just aware of where we are and different events that you can hopefully be a part of. I know we all travel. We're always on the go, and so maybe we'll see you next time in California or Texas or who knows, or one of the Startup Grind events.
I have to say,